Hello everyone, today I'm working on this nice C30-7 and it looks to be in really good shape. I don't think there's too much to do on it. I'll just take it out the box so we can have a look. So the horn is there. It looks to be backwards though. And then all the handrails are there. That looks good. There's one coupler that's broken. That's going to be an easy fix. And it's one with the newer units that has a closed pilot. So I'll start with the shell removal. Now these have little tabs you can pull under, or you can use the box. This little detail right here, that is your handbrake. There's a chain that goes from here to the trucks to use the handbrake. So I'm going to be careful to not break that when I pull my tab. I'm going to pull the tab from the other side, like here. And I can just pull on the tab very gently, and I should be able to get the shell out. There we go. Also, I noticed on my shell, there's one of the handrails is not in its hole. I don't consider that to be damage because it's easy to fix. I am gonna wash it with my my toothbrush and some soap, but it's not really dirty. It looks really good to me. So this is the non-DCC frame, but it's still a really good machine. So I'm gonna remove the two headlights. I'm gonna take a look inside to see what's there. Everything looks really nice and clean. That's gonna be a good runner. This little board here, it's a little bit hard to get at. And then the gas tank. You can see the fill holes, which are here. So that's gonna go off. And then I can get in there and use my screwdriver. Take the screws out. And you know what I recommend? I recommend you use the box to keep all your parts together. That way, if you want to, when you want to put the locomotive back, you don't have to look for parts. Maybe some big parts, you won't have to put them in there, but a lot of the small parts you will. So I'm going to release the two trucks. I'm going to take note of the direction they're in. Just going to release them. And then I'll spread the two frame halves. See the trucks, I don't have to put them in my box because they're big. I'm not going to lose them. So now I can spread out the two frame halves. Take a look at what's inside. Everything looks nice and clean. I'm gonna try it with my my two test leads just to see what it sounds like. I'm using an old lifelike power pack with just two wires. That sounds real good. I'm just gonna put 2 drops of oil just to say that I've done something. Actually, that's not true. It's gonna be 4 drops. But it's in real good shape, this unit. There's no need to do much to it. Be careful to keep track of these little guys, these spacers. They're pretty important. That's gonna go back like this, and I'm gonna work on my trucks. So I'm just gonna release my side frames. Probably the 2 contact strips, they'll just fall out on my hands. That's okay. And then I put my thumb there. Now I'll release the other side. Take your time, it's not a race. You know, if you tell yourself that you have to get this done in a certain amount of time, then it becomes stressful. If you tell yourself, I've got all kinds of time, then that's going to help you manage the stress. At my job, I like to compete with the other guys, and when I do that, I get a little bit stressed out, but you have to have your own personality, and you have to admit that to yourself and live with that. So cleaning the wheels, I like to do it with my rag. You see my rag is completely clean. They look clean, but they might not be that clean. There you can see my rag's got a little bit of dirt on it. So I'll continue doing that. I'll do all 3 axles. And then I'll clean all this with my toothbrush and some dish soap. Now I'm going to put everything back together. These trucks, the wheels, the axles don't really have a fixed position. They're all exactly the same. When you put back your contact strips, make sure that the wheels are in their little hole, and there's 2 pins here that will hold the contact strip in the correct position. My T1 duplex engine, I ended up getting in touch with Broadway Limited Imports, and they told me that it was covered under warranty and just to send it back to them. So they told me it could take up to 8 weeks to get it fixed, so it's going to be a while. But it was nice to talk to somebody. And when you're done, check it with your fingers to be sure that there's no rolling resistance. And then I'll do the other side off camera. Now I can start putting everything back together. Very important to keep in mind the direction they go. And then I'll put the 2 screws back in. So use gravity as your friend. You can start putting the 2 screws back in, and the little retainers, which I had in my box so I don't have to go look for them. So I'll just start them now, and I'll come back later to tighten them. Now before I tighten them, I'm going to make sure that my contact strips are exactly where they need to be. Like this little guy should be up and over this tab right here. So I'm going to have it go over. So you want to be mindful of that before you put your gas tank back on. That's like your chance to look over that. Make sure that you're happy with everything before you put on your gas tank. There, so that side is good. That's going to change for your reliability. It's certainly going to help. These go over and under it. There. Just like the song. So once you're 100% happy with that, then you can put your gas tank back on. You can check it from the top. See, now that you're happy, you can put your gas tank back on, and it has a direction. There's a little window for this extra notch. So that's going to hold your contact strips together. And then I can tighten my 2 screws. And I'm going to put my my lights back on. And I'll be testing the lights before I go on the track. I'll be testing my lights with my on my bench here. There. So now I'm ready for some testing. I tested out on my bench. That way, make sure you can see the light there. So the backup light working. Then we'll do the front light. So that works great. So now we'll go try it on the track. So it runs very well. No surprise there. Nice and slow. That is such a treat. So now I can put the shell back on. But before I put my shell back on, I'm going to deal with this coupler. It's a lot easier to get to it if your shell is off. So I'm going to reuse all these boxes and retainers because they look really good to me. And I've got my replacement coupler over here that I'm going to reinstall in there. So try not to drop your stuff. Yeah, what I said before about getting upset and irritated, it's still true. You have to, that's one trick, you know, to increase your patience, is to repeat to yourself that there's no time limit. So that's always very important. To try and be patient. And scale, you don't have a choice. You're going to be working with some very, very small parts. Yeah, there's a little spring, I don't know if you can see it. The little KD spring or microtrain spring. Yeah, you do not want to lose that. I'm replacing it with some McHenrys, which don't have a spring. So it's a little bit easier to work with. And they work pretty good. I am a little bit partial to the micro trains, but the McHenrys work okay. There. So that would be the top part. So that would be like, it would go like that. I'm just going to double test it with the front to make sure I've got it correct, the correct direction for it. So that looks good. This one goes under, and I'll just slide it in here. There, we're halfway there. And then put my retainer back. Let's see if it will go. Yep, looks good. And I don't know what happened, but my horn got back to the correct orientation. I can put this all back on the shell. But before I do, this little spring here, I'm going to be keeping that. I have a box just for that. So they're very, very squirmy. They move around and they can get thrown about on their own springiness. So then my little spring here, my little spring, I'm going to put it, I've got a box just for that, for KB parts. Got a box just for that, and then that can stay in there. And then this little guy, usually it's not the one that breaks, this one, but I'm still keeping it for parts, and this one's going in the garbage. You never know on the day you need a part. They're pretty expensive and I hate waiting for parts. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.